Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jonathan Bond, and tonight I will be doing a persuasive belief speech on why I think the Twilight film series should not be a staple of modern film. The Twilight series, in my opinion, is the most overrated series in the history of American cinema. As the United States, we've always built ourselves upon like a superior strength behind films that reach out all over the world. We've been recognized as a forerunner to film cinema's success, popularity, and impact on the modern world. While we thrive with thrilling and compelling action films that captivate audiences with thrilling and death-defying stunts, as well as great perceptive dramatic acting, and it's basically been embedded into the consciousness of billions of people. The Twilight film series is based off a best-selling book collection and is a worldwide box office sensation. While I cannot comment on the quality of the books because I've never read them, I can display my opinion about what I think of the film series. I can indicate that my perceptions of the film, the franchise, yes, it's commercially successful, but critically, I think it's one of the most worthless film series I've ever seen in my life. The credibility and so is the credibility of the people that I watch them. I agree that with all the professional film critics when I say that even though, like I said, it's a huge financial success, they, like me, also have panned it from their professional opinions. One of the reasons why I think it's terrible is because the acting's terrible. It's terrible, it's emotional, and the actors, they don't really portray their characters that well. While observing the films, the dialogue is very, very, poorly given. Very, very poorly given. Like, oftentimes when I want to laugh at points that I'm not supposed to. Like, I cannot believe, this person is displaying an emotion. And the other thing is that the lead actors, which are Robert Pattinson, Taylor Lautner, and Kristen Stewart, they've never attended any type of formal acting training before. They've never been a part of a theater of arts. They've never attended an acting school. And while I think Robert Pattinson personally has a lot of talent, he really does have a lot of talent. He's very good looking, and he's going to play in a future movie later this year called Belle and White, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. But the fact is, putting him in this role and typecasting him is going to be very, very hurtful for his career and his longevity as far as a serious dramatic actor. One of the biggest things, in my opinion, is that the plot tries to redefine a genre very unsuccessfully and really makes a farce out of the type of literature that it presents that's really been mastered by people like Mary Shelley and Bram Stoker. The horror literature franchise has been around for over a century and it's been built upon the foundation of importance, organicity, and suspense. It's been fashioned most noticeably by Bram Stoker's Dracula and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein for bringing audiences to their literature respectively. These films tear down the foundation that horror literature has been built upon, and it creates a farce to appeal to younger audiences that's attracted by MTV. The standard rules apply to the horror creatures in these films is non-existent. Some of the character foundations and the norms that are brought into the fact, like the perception of vampires as being, they always had a gothic feel. They were infatuated with sexual lust and a type of dark, evil passion. It's non-existent in these films. It's not. It's more about just a cheeky love story. I've always had a fascination with vampires, and in these films, I'm not afraid of any of them. They basically give the perception of vampires. It's gotten to the point now where I watch a vampire film now, and I don't even convince myself of the horror that's involved in it. And the same thing for werewolves. They've always been kind of portrayed as remorseless, cannibalistic predators that kind of stalk their prey in the night. And now it's just they're just a bunch of high school bullies. That's basically what it is. The original conceptions of horror characters have always been regarded with cold and motionless demeanors. And in these films, the characters that are portrayed are as no different than human beings. You really can't tell the difference. Like if you were ignorant to the series itself and you looked at it, could you really tell that this person was a member of the supernatural? Or at least I couldn't do it. I don't know if anybody else could. It destroys the majestic, the mystery, and the presence that these original characters like Dracula, like Frankenstein, like the Mummy, like the Wolfman, that they presented to audiences when they first appeared. And I think audiences will be shunned by future adaptations of these creatures in films, future films and books. The technical aspects of the film are the lowest standards possible. Oftentimes in fantasy and horror films, these are the type of films, and science fiction films as well, these are the type of films that really groundbreak and push effects and makeup to the limit. And a lot of these films have garnered a lot of attention from the Academy Awards. Like 1931, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde won the Academy Award for Best Actor. The Exorcist in 1973 won the Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay. Bram Stoker's Dracula in 1992 won the Academy Award for Best Makeup, and there's literally about 30 more, but these were just 3 examples. The Twilight film series have made over $1 billion worldwide. So yes, their commercial success is there, but not one of them out of 4 films has never been nominated for an Academy Award. And the fourth thing is that American film critics have panned and discouraged the films. On the website Rotten Tomatoes, which is basically a consensus of all the top critics in America, in order to be certified fresh as a film, it has to maintain a 60% approval rating. Out of the 4 films, none of them have been certified fresh. Some examples are Sarah Studer from the New York Times says, "It all goes wrong when it should go right." And Claudia Pung from the USA Today says, "Despite questionable casting, wooden acting, and laughable dialogue, and truly awful makeup, nothing is likely to stop young girls from swarming this cliché adaptation of Stephenie Meyer's popular novel." I think that consensus kind of speaks for itself. In conclusion, the films have nothing to do with the mythology of horror creatures. In my opinion, it has everything to do with issues targeting a teenage audience. These issues include adolescence and teenage love. Basically, what these films have done, they've taken the genre of horror and science fiction, and they've turned it for which they've used it as a stepping stone to appeal to issues like teen sex, teen marriage, and adolescence. And at the same time, they're destroying that reputation. So, in conclusion, because of the series, I feel as though the mythology of these creatures, their reputations will never recover, and they'll always be made less appealing to these audiences. That concludes my speech. Does anybody have any questions?